My name's Elise Gilbert. I'm a 24-year-old theatre maker and performer based in Hull and East Yorkshire. So I grew up in Beverley, went to Longcroft School, and I never really fitted in very well in Beverley. I'm a queer plus-size performative person. I've always been very expressive, and yeah, I didn't really fit in very well. So I think as soon as I could get out of Beverley, I was like out of there straight away. Went to Hull College, did a performing arts course there for a year, and then I went on to a musical theatre course as well for 2 years, and then went to Manchester after that. But yeah, while I was in Beverley and Hull, I mean, my full family are from Hull, East Hull, so like I visit my grandparents still a lot, and most of my friends from Hull College, they all live in Hull, so I don't really feel like I relate to Beverley in the same way that I do to Hull. I've always kind of grown up with Hull Fair and like shopping in town with my friends and stuff, but yeah, it's nice to have two kind of bases, I guess, and it's given me a lot of opportunity to kind of spread my wings and expand my circles. But yeah, live in Beverley, come to Hull a lot, went to Hull College, and then I went to Manchester to do a drama degree there. My most interesting fact is a little bit weird. I don't know if you know what an epiglottis is, but the epiglottis is basically a part of the tongue that your tongue goes back and it like flicks up, and I'm one of the 3% of people that can actually see that, like you can see my epiglottis. There's only 3% of people that can see it if you open your mouth wide enough, but I've got such a big mouth that you can actually see my epiglottis. And I only discovered it because I had tonsillitis at the time, and I was like looking at my tonsillitis, and I saw this big white thing sticking in the back of my throat, and I thought, what is that? Like, I'm in trouble, there's something stuck in my throat. And then I googled it, and it's an epiglottis, guys. So yeah, you can see my epiglottis. It's a weird fact. I don't believe in regrets. I think everything that happens in life leads you down different pathways, and it all is meant to pave out the way it does. And I think if I was to say I had regrets, that would be like a disservice to who I am right now, mentally, emotionally, physically, creatively, everything, even the things that I would say I kind of wish that didn't happen, I wouldn't want to go back and change anything, because it's led to who I am now. It's given me opportunities, and everything that happens to you kind of takes you on a journey. So I just kind of try to appreciate everything, even like the bad things that I experience in life. I guess I'm just thankful for every experience I've had, all the positive and the negative ones. So from my earliest memory, I've always wanted to do theatre making, performing. My biggest goal and aspiration would, honestly, it's a massive, massive dream, and it feels like miles and miles away right now, but I'd love to write and direct my own like sitcom on the TV. I'd love to have stage productions that tour all across the country, maybe even internationally, and sell out everywhere. Like, I'd love to make productions that people can connect to, and that speak to people of all different walks of lives and connect people together creatively. I always get a bit nervous to say what my dreams and ambitions are with people, because as a creative, people don't always take it seriously. And a lot of people like to doubt, so I'm kind of always a little bit reserved to say, like, this is how big my dreams and ambitions are, and I know in myself that I believe in my capability to do that, but I always get a bit nervous to speak on it because of what other people might think, and there's natural kind of anxieties. But yeah, my dreams and ambitions are huge. Like, I've got so many things I want to do, and then if I think even further, I think I'd love to become a lecturer in my like 60s, and then share and hopefully make platforms for young creatives that are in my situation right now to get on board and meet people that I haven't necessarily, in the way that I haven't gotten right now. I'd love to create a platform for people in my situation right now in the future, so that they can connect and have a little bit of a springboard into this kind of stuff. Yeah, big ambitions. Yeah, I think there is opportunities and there is platforms for young creatives to get on board with, and I've done some of them. I've been fortunate enough to get involved with stuff. However, yeah, I do think there's room for so much more. It's just funding and things like that become so difficult. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of room for workshops and just more. I feel like there's more room for conversations with creatives that are already quite advanced to give back more. But like I say, there is definitely platforms that you can get involved with. There are people that are already providing that sort of stuff. I just personally have struggled a little bit to get into it. I think going to Manchester and studying there meant that I got a base in Manchester but not necessarily in Hull, so that's what I'm doing right now at the moment. It's like, how can I get connected with this artist and this person and this person and you and like different companies that are doing different things, and try and get myself into that creative circle in Hull, because Hull's quite small in the grand scheme of things, and the circle's quite cosy. So if I can get myself in there, that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. And networking is important. I'd say the best experience I've ever had in creative work would have to be doing one-woman shows, 100%. I think I'm torn between that and doing an international tour, because I did an international theatre tour when I was studying, which was one of the best experiences I've ever had, being able to go to a different country and take work there and work with international students that don't have the same opportunity to the arts that I've had and gift them that. It was amazing. But one-woman shows, like being able to create and perform my own work in front of an audience and then receive reviews and stuff, is just, there's no feeling like it for me. It makes me feel alive, honestly. Like there's just nothing that can compete with that. It's definitely what I thrive off, and yeah, it makes me feel so proud of myself that I'm 24 and I've got a whole show that I've done solely myself. Like, it's just such a big achievement in that sense, because it's hard work. And I don't think, if you'd asked me a few months back, if you asked me this time last year would I be able to do this, I probably would even say then probably not, or be scared to do it. But yeah, I don't know, life has a way of working out, and it's definitely one of the best experiences I've ever done. Yeah, so I've got 2 one-woman shows. One's called Blast Off. I did that post-graduation, and that was about blasting off into the future and being a young adult and not really knowing what I was doing. And my most recent show, Bad Jokes About Men, is all about the boundaries within humour between men and women and where the kind of line blurs. So it's all done through the style of comedy, clown. It's very, very theatrical, it's very multimedia. I've got a lot of screen projection in it. But yeah, it kind of all comes down to that idea of like, it's just a joke when it's not just a joke, and how that leaves women specifically feeling, and it's done through an autobiographical lens, which is through my life, my experiences. So yeah, it's very personal. It's a very personal show, even though I think when you watch it, you think people laugh because it's ridiculous, and my art is very crazy and a bit weird. People maybe don't realise the seriousness and the intimacy that actually is within what I've created. But yeah, I love to put myself into my work like that. As for the future, I plan to do it in Hull in the new year, 2 nights hopefully, at the Comedy Lounge potentially. That's where I'm at right now with it. I'm planning on doing it in Newcastle and definitely in Liverpool, and then moving forward I'd love to take it to Edinburgh Fringe. I'd love to do something in the Edinburgh Fringe, maybe not this show, but something in next year's Fringe Festival. So yeah, big plans for the future. I'm very fortunate in the sense that my family are very okay with me still living at home, and that comes with its own insecurities, because I'm 24, I still live at home with my parents, feeling a bit like, I want to be moving forward, I want to have my own place. But for me, right now in my life, I'm prioritising my art, and I'm prioritising creating and making and doing, even if that means that I have to financially kind of lose out a little bit. It's really difficult to balance it all. It's really hard to stay creatively motivated, especially when I first moved back from Manchester and I'd been there for 3 years. You move into new circles and you don't have your theatre family that you've got in Manchester back here. So then it's about completely just motivating yourself, and I think the main thing is your mentality on it. It's really difficult, and I have moments where I'm super creative and I have moments where I'm not creative at all. But ultimately, like, it's so like important to me. It's so much like part of who I am as a person, that I find that it always comes back, and I always find those spurts of like the most random times as well. Like sometimes I'll be like, I'll be up at like 3 in the morning and I'll go, oh, I've just had a show idea, like scribble it down. It's like, it comes to me at the most weird times. I think that the most important thing for me online is to be completely transparent with who I am as a creative and who I am as an individual. I've started seeing social media as a place to market not only my work and my creativity, but also me as an individual. I want to be as marketable as my art is, so that people want to invite me in to do creative workshops, which is where I'm getting at right now in my career. In the arts. But yeah, I used to have a professional account and I completely scrapped that, and now I've just got one account where I just kind of network and market and personal things and also creative things go on there. But yeah, networking's a really important thing within the industry, I think. Like, I literally will meet people in the most bizarre settings and they'll link up, and then I'll say, let's meet up for a coffee, and I'll follow it up and connect, because I think that that's really how you kind of grow your platforms, is through interacting with people as much as you possibly can. I'm just consistently like staying present in people's social media platform, and then they kind of interact with mine naturally anyway. And then I do also do things like online streaming on TikTok platforms and things, which at first I was a bit like, not sure if this is for me, but after a while I realised actually I could plug things on here, and I draw in just from like my fashion and like the way I express myself. I draw in a certain crowd that generally seem to be quite into the same things I'm into, so naturally they'll then follow me and I'll follow them, and then some of them have come to my shows and stuff. Like I did a show in London and they came to see me in London, and I had 3 people come to see me in my London show that I'd never met, that had come off TikTok. And it's just like, everything is a networking platform, everything, you can just use it all to your advantage. My biggest achievement to date would be putting on a one-woman show, which I've written, produced, created solely by myself. And when I took it to London, I went on my own, did the tech run, everything. And I remember the staff at the venue were like, have you come here all on your own? And I was like, yeah, literally all on my own, one-woman show through and through. And that's like a massive achievement to have at 24 years old. It's really scary to do it, but it's something I'm very, very proud of now. And then I'm really proud of the fact that like I'm at a point now where, because I've done these shows, people are inviting me back. I'm going back to my drama. I was at my drama school the other day doing creative workshops with their third year students, sharing my knowledge, and that's like a really cool place to be in, because I've worked to get here. It's like I can now give back a little bit, not much because I'm still learning myself, but I'm giving back a little bit here, there and everywhere. And they've invited me to go on their international tour again this year, so in a month or so, about a month and a half, I'm going to Spain with them to run an international module, which is going to be really cool, really exciting. And I'm just honoured that I've done the work to get myself into these doors and keep this connection going so well that they've wanted me to come back, and the students are excited to work with me, and that's something that I can be proud of myself with. It's an achievement to have that kind of connection. This time next year, I want to have done bad jokes about men at least a handful of times more, at least a handful. I'd quite like to have just done the Fringe Festival this time next year, and even if I don't necessarily put on a full-scale show at the Fringe Festival, I'd like to do some sort of stand-up comedy or some kind of art there, just to get myself into that circle. And I'm also planning on doing a lot of travelling over the next few years, so I need to be in a situation where I'm planning on going and seeing the world, because that's something that's very important to me as an individual. Apart from the creative stuff, like as an individual, I want to see things and go and travel and make art abroad at some point just on my own. So yeah, planning on doing that over the next year. Be patient with yourself, don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's really scary when you're first dipping your fingers into all those jars and you feel so out of depth with everything you're doing. It's just about consistency with yourself, reminding yourself that you can keep doing it, and trying to keep that spark, because it's really easy to lose it when you're feeling overwhelmed by it all. But yeah, and networking is something I think everyone should just be doing. Like, I love it when people come to me and say, oh, I love your work, can we link up? I'm like, yeah, let's go for coffee. Just have coffees with people, or DMs or FaceTime chats and things like that. I think networking is so important in this industry because opportunities come from that You never know who you're going to meet in the toilets of a nightclub and then go out with for a coffee the next day and then get a job with. You just don't know, do you? So yeah, definitely networking is something that I've really benefited from. Bad Jokes About Men will be coming to Hull in the new year, either in January, February time, probably at the Hull Comedy Lounge. I'm still finalising that right now, but yeah, it'll be coming at some point. So follow my socials, Elise Gilbert 00, and drop me a DM if you're a creative and you want to collab, because I think that like I'm so open to collaborating with like different creatives in the local area. I really want to immerse myself into the creative scene in Hull more. So yeah, and yeah, Bad Jokes About Men. Come and see it if you can.